the librarian. Hi, Valerie Morquay. I was walking down one of the psychology aisles when I heard familiar footsteps behind me. I was instantly engulfed in a gentle hug, and I smiled. I could smell that woodsy perfume that I liked so much, which caused me to turn around in his arms and nuzzle his neck. I felt the rumbling of his chest before I heard him chuckle. "Did you miss me that much?" Adrian said with a mischievous tone to his voice. "I always miss you," was all I said, before returning to his neck and beginning to put little kisses on his skin. This caused Adrian to hold me tighter, pressing my back against the bookshelf behind me. "In that case," he said with a husk, "I have no problem taking my lunch now." He pressed my back against the bookshelf further and slipped one hand between my legs. I moaned softly and lifted my head to kiss him when I remembered where we were. "Stop," I whispered. I pulled his hand out and pushed him softly and created distance between us. Feeling wary of being seen, I scanned the aisle we were in. Fortunately, no one had seemed to be there for our little display. "What?" he said, amused. "There's no one in this part of the library. Besides, wasn't one of your fantasies to do it in a library?" He wiggled his eyebrows suggestively as he walked back to me, wrapping me up in his arms again. He was right. One of my fantasies was doing it at a library. There was a difference between fantasy and reality. He obviously didn't understand that, as he was already kissing my neck, making me shiver under his lips. "Yes, you're right, Adrian, but this is a busy library. We will get caught instantly." "Besides," I said, as I grabbed his face and forced him to look at me, "I study here. What would people say if they saw a student with the librarian in one of the aisles?" Adrian cocked his head to one side, regarding me. After a few moments of thought, a devilish smile appeared on his lips. "What?" I looked at him suspiciously. The intense way that he was looking at me, and that smile, always meant trouble. The problem was that I never knew what form it would take. "Nothing," he replied. "You're right. I should get back to work. And we have a test to study for. I'll pick you up tonight after class." He lifted my chin with his fingers and leaned down to kiss my lips, sending shivers down my body. He looked at me and smiled one more time before making his way back to his office. I sighed. It was both a sigh of relief and one of defeat. I really wanted him. I decided to busy myself by returning to look for the books that I needed. Not an hour had passed before I realized that I had walked all the way to the other side of the library while I was looking through the aisles. Ugh, I left all of my stuff back at that desk. I have to go back. I mumbled to myself as I sped walked through the hallways. I was so involved in my thoughts that I didn't notice the person that had stepped in front of me until it was too late. "I am so sorry," I started to apologize until I realized who it was. Adrian was chuckling as he helped me pick up the books I had dropped. He finally stood up and regarded me with amusement. "Running through the library hallways is prohibited, Miss Jenner," he said with mock seriousness. I rolled my eyes and snatched the book from his hand. "I wasn't running, I was speedwalking," I retorted. "There are no rules for speedwalking in a library." He smiled and then looked at the books in my hands. "Oh, but there is a rule when it comes to students damaging books," he said and pointed at a large bound book whose cover seemed to have chafed a little with the fall. "Can't prove it was me." I looked at him straight in the eyes, defiance in my stare. Adrian smirked and walked closer. Our faces were so close that I could feel his breath on my lips. He smiled devilishly again as he traced a finger up my thigh. "Now," he said, "who would believe a student over a well-respected librarian?" It was my turn to smirk. I knew what he was doing. It was my fault for giving him the opportunity. "What do you want?" I asked, even though I already knew what he wanted. "I want to fulfill your fantasy," he said simply. I scoffed. Let him trace a finger down my top. He suddenly pulled me to him and I felt him against me. Ah, having him pressed against me like that always made me shiver, and he knew it. He had a malevolent smile on his face now. He definitely knew what he was doing. I tried to push him away though. I have to go get my stuff. On the other side, I started quickly. "You mean this?" he asked as he lifted my book bag. I widened my eyes and tried to snatch it from him. Had he been following me all this time? "Hey, are you stalking me or something?" I tried not to falter as Adrian began to massage me. My legs began to tremble in anticipation of what was to come. Adrian cocked his eyebrow upwards at my words. His gaze intensified as he leaned forward and smiled. I was doing my duty as a librarian and picking up after messy students, he whispered, which, in my opinion, should be punished as well as those who destroy library property. He dipped in and pressed his lips against my neck, making a trail of kisses. I couldn't help it. I felt electricity travel all over my body, making my legs weak. I unconsciously began pressing against Adrian, matching his rhythm as I searched for my pleasure. "But," he continued, leaning back away from me now, "I also believe in giving the students an opportunity to redeem themselves. And I think I have the perfect way for you to just do that." His deep voice reverberated deliciously through me, making me grab a hold of him so as not to fall. We had only been dating for a few months, but he already knew all of the ways to make me quiver. I couldn't help the anticipation growing in me as he led me to a more secluded part of the library where we could be as alone as possible. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you stay tuned for another part, another story. another shiver. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. I will see you soon, my little devils. Bye.